Good evening, Wired fam. How's everybody this evening? Hope y'all are doing well. Hope everybody's having as good a night as I am. It has been a long day, but it's going to be a good night. So, hello again. Thanks for joining us tonight. Can't wait to talk about a lot of crappie fishing stuff tonight. We got a lot to talk about, so I'm looking forward to it. Uh, just want to thank everybody again. We are up to 9,900 subscribers, somewhere right there around 9,900. So we are going to be doing that 10,000 subscriber giveaway pretty soon. Okay, that 10,000 subscriber giveaway again. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe to the channel, because when we hit 10,000 subscribers, one lucky subscriber is going to get a 2-day crappie fishing trip with me in East Tennessee, and I'm going to pay for your fishing license and for everything while you're here, for the motel. All you'll have to do is pay for your gas and food. So when we hit 10,000, we are going to do that giveaway to one lucky subscriber. 2 days of fishing here in East Tennessee, Saturday, Sunday with me, weekend fishing trip on 2 different lakes in East Tennessee. So if you're not a subscriber, hit that subscribe button. I appreciate it very much. Thank you. Thank you. Let's get to 10,000 subscribers. Also, it is now March, okay? Is now the 3rd month of the year, March, right? So starting April 1st, okay, well, starting now, okay, if you tag Wired for Crappie on your fishing posts, or when you share a video, if you share a Wired for Crappie video, or if you tag Wired for Crappie on one of your crappie fishing posts, I'm going to pick my favorite photo or my favorite video, and we're going to do a giveaway at the first of every month. So starting this next month, starting April 1, we're going to give away a big package full of stuff to one lucky winner whose picture I like the best, okay? So if you would, when you share your pictures on Facebook or on Instagram, tag Wired for Crappie in those. And when I see those, I'll pick one lucky winner every month for the next 3 months. Okay. So on the 1st of April, May, and June, we're going to give away a big package of stuff to one lucky winner. Make sure you tag Wired for Crappie on your posts. Okay, guys. So there's that. Giveaways. Don't forget, when you get on tonight, make sure you drop me a hello. Let me know where you're from. I always like to see how far we're reaching. I always like to say hello back to you guys. And if you're new on the live tonight, if you have a question, comment, or anything, please drop it in that comment section. I like to see what you guys are thinking, what all you guys have questions on. Obviously, right now, LiveScope's a big topic because there's a whole lot of stuff going on with LiveScope. They're coming out with the new transducer. We're going to talk a little bit more about that tonight because that's coming. The new transducer is coming the end of the month. A lot of guys already have those on pre-order. So we're going to do a little talk about that as well tonight. And, from an installer's perspective of how that's kind of changed the installs right now, and some of the things that are transpiring on the install side of things. So anyway, we're going to get into that here in a little bit. But more or less, this is a time for you guys to come ask questions to me and get some feedback in real time, because I'll let you guys know I'm probably behind on some of my emails. I've gotten so many emails, so many comments lately, especially with this new LiveScope coming out. It has been, bombarding, to say the least. So if I hadn't got back to you on whether you asked for a guide trip, or you have asked for an electronics install, or you have asked just general questions to my Facebook pages or my emails, please bear with me. I'll get back to everybody as soon as I can. But there's only so many hours in a day. And there's only so much time that I can stay awake. So I was up till 3 the other night. A guy called me, wanted a LiveScope installed, was going on a fishing trip. And he's like, please help me. I need help. I'm going in 2 days. I was like, all right, bring it over here. So I was up till 3 in the morning trying to get his LiveScope on. Got it on. But anyway, long story short, he is fishing and sent me a picture today of the first crappie he caught with his new LiveScope. So thank you to him for letting me install that LiveScope. But more or less, I'm tired. I haven't caught up from that yet. I'm getting old, guys. So when I stay up that late, it takes me a couple of days to catch back up. All right. But anyway, nonetheless, a lot of questions about it, a lot of comments about it, and then we'll get into that here in a little bit. But first and foremost, let's say hello to everybody on tonight. Scary Barry, what's up? So what's he say here? Something. Please don't talk about how fast Crappie can swim tonight. My mind is boggled with hundreds of pages of scientific data about critical swimming speeds. Okay, we won't talk about it. We won't talk about it. I promise. James, hello from Cherokee Lake. What's going on, James? Dave D from Lake Hartwell, South Carolina. Did you happen to receive the package I sent? Yes, I did. We're going to talk about that in just a second as well. It's one thing we're going to talk about. So we'll talk about that here in just a second. Dave? Oh, let's talk about it now. All right. So I got a package, and Dave sent me a package. Thank you, thank you, Dave. I appreciate it very much. It's actually, I don't have it down here with me, but it's actually well, let me go grab it. I'll be right back. All right, so got a package from Dave's. Sorry it took me so long. And he said that his dad painted this, and he had some copies made. That his dad actually painted this some time ago. He had some copies made and sent me one. Look at this, guys. Is that not cool? Thank you, Dave. I appreciate you, buddy. That's awesome. And I'd love to hang that back here, but my 6-year-old's room is all hunting and fishing stuff. And I pulled this out and I was looking at it and I was showing the wife, and he's like, that's mine, Daddy. That's mine. So he stole it from me. So it's actually hanging in my 6-year-old's room, and he thanks you very, very much. I appreciate it. That is absolutely beautiful. And him and I both like it a lot. So thank you for that. That's awesome. That's going to be with me for a very, very long time, and I appreciate it very much. So thank you. And he thanks you because it goes great in his room with all his other fishing stuff. Jimmy Pratt says, hello, Matt and Wired fans. What's going on? Let's see here. Kenneth Pippins from Missouri. What's going on, Kenneth? Cody Ayers. Hello. Tom A. from Pennsylvania. Scary Barry, 9,900. That's right, 9,900. We're getting there. Joseph Thaxton. Hello, Matt and Wired fam. Hello. Mike Morrison, howdy, Wired fam. Hello, Ashley Coffee. Ashley, I feel like we hadn't talked in a while. I hope you're doing well. But it's been a little minute. Tony Watson, howdy from Tony in Knoxville. What's going on, Tony? Hello from Knoxville. Let me move this picture before I spill Pepsi on it. All right. I don't want to spill anything on it. All right. Josh Sanders, what's up? Got a few free minutes to jump on and say hi. What's going on, buddy? Calvin from North Carolina. Hello. Scott Winkler, Westchester, Ohio. Ohio in the house. What's going on, Scott? Asleep. What's going on, Chris? Hello, all. Hope you all had a great day and are not sunburnt like me. At Wired for Crappie, looks like you got your hair did. Yeah, I got cleaned up a little bit. So I clean up every once in a while. But yeah, got a induction ceremony for my son tomorrow. He's being inducted into the honor society. So it's kind of a big evening for him. I figured I'd get all snazzed up for his event. So I'd get snazzed up for his event. That's how that works, right? So we got this big banquet thing tomorrow night. Got to go to that, and it's a big deal. So took him yesterday. We got all cleaned up, all good. I ain't cleaned up down here yet, but we got all cleaned up here. Got him all cleaned up. He's looking fly too, and bought him a bunch of nice clothes, bunch of new clothes, so he feel good and all that good stuff. You know how it is you do for your kids when they have a big accomplishment. So we dolled him up, and he's ready to rock and roll now. So we got that tomorrow night. I'm so proud of him. If he's watching tonight, Braden, I'm proud of you, buddy. It's a big step, a big deal. That kid's so he's taking all honors classes, guys. He's actually he's taken every class he's taken is an honors class, and he's got A's in everything. He's straight A student. So I think he got 1B. I think that was it. But anyway, nonetheless, he's being inducted in the Honor Society, and we're really, really proud of him. So thanks for noticing, though, Chris. I appreciate you, buddy. That's Chris's way of telling me I'm sexy. That's funny. All right, Johnny Coots. Good evening, Wired from Ringgold, Georgia. What's going on, Johnny? Bid Kid, hello from Missouri. What's up? Brian from Illinois. What's going on? Nathan Wood from Wabash, Indiana. What's going on? Jim Churchill Outdoor Adventures. Hello, Matt from Michigan. What's going on? What lake you catching slabs on up there in Michigan? Tell me what lake's the best lake up there, Jim. David from Crossville, Tennessee. What's going on? Yeah, the new live scope update dropped yesterday. Yep, we're going to talk about that when we get into live scope. Hello from Ontario, Canada. What's going on, Terry Wade from Canada? What's going on, buddy? Crappie Kev from Ashburn, Virginia. Hello. Major Brown. Sleep, how's the new update? Yeah, we're going to talk about that here in a little bit. Checking in from Lake Cherokee, Texas. What that says? Yep. What's going on, Jason? 922. Hello. David Baker from North Mississippi. What's going on? Major Brown said, now that Matt's gone, everybody go get your popcorn. Yeah, I need some popcorn. Hey, throw me some when you get it. That sounds good. Now I can smell it. Anytime somebody says popcorn, I can smell it. I swear. I do like it, Dave, for sure. I do like it, no doubt. It's beautiful. David Baker, nice work for sure. Yep, that's really cool. Nice pick, love it. Hello, Matt from Asheboro, North Carolina. What's going on, Jan? And Underwood in the house. Hi, Matt from Matt. I like Matt. I don't know why I like that name so much, but I'm partial to it. I like Matt. So what's going on? Virgil, hello. Update for live other than version 1910. What's this? Asleep said, is Mountain Dew repackaging to a blue can? No. I drink. I got the Pepsi going on too. So sometimes I drink the Pepsi. I got to go from light liquids to dark liquids sometimes. So it's like some guys do their light beer and their dark beer. I do my light Cokes and my dark Cokes. Yeah, got to mix it up, Chris. It's like you can't fish with the black and chartreuse stump bug all the time. Sometimes you got to use the white and chartreuse stump bug. Okay. Mark Shelton from Riceville, what's up? Scott Winkler, good question. Any source for Amped Outdoors 12-volt, 30-amp-hour battery and charger? They seem sold out everywhere. Also, where do you look for crappie in high waters? Very, very good questions, both of them. So to answer the question about the Amped Outdoor batteries quickly, no. It seems like everybody's out of Amped Outdoor batteries right now. What has happened, guys, with the limited stock or no stock, let's face it, the non-existent stock on Amped Outdoor batteries and really all lithium 12 volts is Garmin released that anything above 18 volts will damage your unit, right? Or potentially can damage your unit. So all these guys that were out there running these 20-volt lithium max batteries from DeWalt, Milwaukee, and all this other stuff, now they're going, Maybe that was where some of my problems were coming from. And now they're bumping off those 18-volt and 20-volt uh, lithium drill batteries back to a lithium 12-volt, something that's not going to damage their units. Okay. So it really is flooding. They're getting flooded with calls, flooded with orders, people trying to order the batteries, those lithium. And let's talk a little bit about lithium batteries real quick because there is a shortage right now. Okay, guys, I want y'all to understand something. There's two different kinds of lithium batteries. There's lithium ion, ION, okay, and then there's lithium iron, IRON, okay. The amped outdoor batteries are lithium iron batteries, and it's not really how you pronounce it. I'm making it sound different. Okay, there's two difference. A lithium ion battery is not going to produce the amount of charge and the amount of voltage and the amount of amperage that a lithium ion battery will. Okay, so Dakota, Amped, think Monster Marine, and there's one more I'm missing that I know of, are lithium iron batteries. If you're going to go lithium, please make sure if you're going to get a 12-volt lithium, it's a lithium iron battery. Okay. The ion batteries will deplete. If it's a 30 amp hour, you will not get 30 amp hours out of it. A lithium ion, it will deplete faster and you will lose. You'll probably get 22 amp hours out of a 30, but it will deplete faster. Lithium ion just doesn't hold up to a true 30 amp hours. Okay, so there's a difference in ion and iron. The iron is what you want. That's the Amped, the Dakota, the Monster Marine, and gosh, there's one more. I can't think of it. I can't think of it right now. I'm sorry. But I run amped outdoor batteries. That's what I run. But unfortunately, if they're not in stock, what do? You got to go looking for something, right? So try some of those other companies. The only bad thing about a Dakota Lithium is they actually don't have a 30 amp hour. They have a 23 amp hour. And on a 12-inch unit running live scope, like a 126 SV touch on the live scope with the new transducer, you barely going to get a full day's fishing out of a 30 amp. So a 23 amp Dakota, I would be afraid if I was running a 12-inch unit, I wouldn't get a full day's worth of fishing out of it. So I don't know. That's kind of one of the reasons that I went with Amped in the beginning, is because they had that 30 versus Dakota's 23. I wanted I mean, they're about the same price point, but I get 30 instead of 23, right? So that's kind of why I went with Amped in the beginning. But I think Amped is going to be back in stock in March, I think, on some of their batteries. And then I think some of them are even further out than that. So that kind of stinks. But give some of those other companies a look and see if you can't find one that way. Now, crappie in high water. Okay. When the water moves up, the crappie move up. When the water moves out, the crappie move out. So, wherever you were catching those fish previous to the water rising, you're going to catch them in that same general area, but they're going to be shallower. Okay. Or not shallower. They might not be shallow. So if they were sitting in 12 foot of water and the water comes up 6 foot, then where they were sitting is now 18 foot. So you need to move up to that 12 foot where they were setting, and that's where they're going to be at. Does that make sense? So as that water rises, those fish are going to move up with that water, in with that water, and they're going to stay in that similar depth. Now, if it gets dirty, there's a difference in if it rises or if it rises and gets dirty. So if it rises and gets muddy, then you're looking even shallower, okay? Because that muddy water, you don't get as much light penetration through muddy water, and those fish are going to move up in the water column because they're going to try to get in that same, they're going to get that same light penetration, that same visibility, okay? So rising water, you're going to move up with the fish or move in with the fish. if it gets muddy, those fish are going to actually move up in the water column. Jeffrey Smith, hello. The Joe Nash in the house. What's going on, Joe? Jim says Hardy Pond and Muskegon Lake. Hardy Pond and Muskegon Lakes. So that's where the big ones are at in Michigan, huh? So there you go, guys. You heard it yourself. Hardy Pond and Muskegon Lake. That's where they're at in Michigan. If I ever go to Michigan, I've been to Michigan. I actually have spent time. Hang on just 1 second. Clayton, thank you so much, buddy, for the super chat. I appreciate it. That is awesome, man. Thank you for the super chat. That is an absolute blessing to me and this channel. So I appreciate it very much, buddy. I don't take any of those super chats lightly, and I appreciate it so much. You have no idea. So thank you very much for the super chat. If you have any questions or comments, I see you don't have one there, but if you have any questions or comments, please give me the opportunity to answer those for you, buddy. I appreciate it. And thank you for the super chat. Let's see here. Where was I? No, where was I? I'm lost now. Oh, there it is. Roddy Harris from Carrollton, Georgia. Hello. Hang on, guys. I'm looking. Where was I? Sorry, I'm lost. Chris Jackson. What's up, Matt from Mayfield, Kentucky? See, you got that sniping braid on the wall behind you. Are you switching? I don't have any sniping braid on the wall behind me. What are you talking about? There ain't no sniping braid on that wall. That's bonehead. That's bonehead. Kind of like me. Trust me. There ain't no sniping braid on that wall. There ain't no doubt about that. Let's see. Curtis Hobbs, what's going on? Hey, Matt, like the background. Did you get your money's worth in the package you received? Yes, sir, I did. And I have them right here. All right, guys. So I've told y'all before, I very much like Mr. Curtis Hobbs' jigs. Mr. Curtis Hobbs is Mr. Lightwire Hooks right there over my shoulder. Mr. Lightwire Hooks right there. And his hooks are extremely, extremely sharp. See? I'm bleeding. All right. So I ordered a bunch of jig heads from Mr. Curtis this week, and I got them in the mail. They are 1/4 ounce heads. There's chartreuse, red. I want you guys to look at this red. This red. Hey, Curtis, you outdid yourself on this one. All right, this red actually has some glitter in it, which I was like, hey, that's kind of sexy. So this red actually has, can you see that gold flake, that gold glitter in it? That's pretty sweet. I like it. I like it, Mr. Curtis. So for those open water fish, I decided I wanted to go to a 1/4 ounce head so I can get down there to those fish a lot quicker. So Mr. Curtis poured me up a bunch of quarters. There's unpainted. Okay. So I got unpainted. I got painted. Then he sent me a little gift package here. Look at this. Check this out. This has got all kinds of different stuff in it. So I got some purples, some pinks, some silvers, some oranges, some golds. I got a little bit of everything in there. And then that ain't all. I got some other stuff in here too. Mr. Curtis sent me some other goodies. Check this out. I got some 16th ounce with some eyes on them with a hard hook. These are all hard hooks. I told him I needed some hard hooks for my braid because when you set the hook with braid, a lot of times a light wire hook will bend out if you ain't careful. So these are all 16ths, kind of my favorite flavors. But Mr. Curtis, I appreciate you, buddy. If you guys are looking for some good quality hooks, right there, left side, this side, that side, that side, right there, Mr. Lightwire Hooks on Facebook or online. Got a website too. So if you're looking for any good hooks, Mr. Curtis can hook you up. And I thank you again, Mr. Curtis. And make sure you mention Wired when you call Mr. Curtis, because Mr. Curtis likes to hear from our Wired family, and he'll hook you up if you tell him you're with the Wired fam. Okay, so hit him up if you guys need any good hooks. But I'm going to put those to good use. These, like I said, these are going to be my open water jig hooks, and you know, you got to get down to those fish fast when you see them on live scope. That's going to get me down there right in their face. Thank you again, Mr. Curtis. I appreciate it. Wild for Nature. What's the best crappie bait and rig to use right now? Well, right now, I would probably say the best crappie bait and rig to use. It's a toss up right now. It depends on what area of the country you're in. Really, to be honest with you, as the water warms up, I mean, right now in East Tennessee, we've got some really warm weather this week, and that water is going to begin to warm up, and those fish are going to start transitioning. So you're going to see a lot of fish that are actually moving from brush into kind of that pre-spawn pattern. And as those fish move from that deep brush to that pre-spawn pattern, you're going to get a lot of fish suspended out in open water, a curly tail, some type of action tail jig, a slider, you know, something that in front of those fish that gets their attention, that gets a reaction strike from those fish is going to be dynamite. Okay, a little swim bait like a slider or a curly tail like the slab curly from Crappie Magnet is going to be dynamite. Okay, can you catch them on a stump bug in open water moving? Yeah, absolutely you can. But right now, an action tail jig, when those fish start to transition and kind of in that transition area or that transition period from their winter to their pre-spawn pattern is going to be fun. It's going to be real fun. So, you know, a curly tail like that right there, Mr. Lightwire Hooks has on his jig there. Something with some action to it would be what I would throw right now. Single jig. I like a single jig. I like to have one focus, one point of contact that I'm focusing on. A lot of guys are using a double jig rig. I like to have. I've got one somewhere right here. That ain't it. Right here. 6.5 foot rod, not enough ceiling. All right. So this is a rod. This is a jig that I had tied up for our last tournament. Okay. There is your slider. Okay. That's a Charlie Brewer slider, paddle tail, swim. It's like a swim jig. Okay. That is a Crappie Magnet head with a blade on it. Okay. That's an 1/8 ounce head with a blade. The reason I went to an 1/8 ounce, that was actually the only head that I had, the only spinner head that I had that was 1/8 ounce. So I probably need to call Curtis and get some 1/8 ounce spinners, but that was all I had in an 1/8 ounce. So I don't typically throw that head. I do throw a pony head or a spinner head a lot, but something of that nature with a lot of flash, a lot of action in that tail, you know, that swim jig or swim bait. with a spinner. Something in that nature is going to be kind of my go-to as they begin to transition. Okay. But once they settle on brush, once they get in that pre-spawn pattern, they're staging. Once they get in that staging phase and they're on brush in the mouths of creeks and at the head of creeks, staging to move back, then I'm going to go to a stump bug religiously. I'm going to throw some kind of stump bug with just a regular old 16th ounce head. If I'm fishing deeper, I'll go to an eighth, but for the most part, a 16th ounce head and brush with a stump bug, and I'm gonna catch as many of them as I can. The big ones, I love it. I love that. Yep, that's right. I absolutely love to fish staging areas. I mean, that's probably my go-to for spring. Like I told you guys, I think last week or the week before, is those staging areas is where I love to stay. I stay there all spring into summer, and then I move back out with them. So I don't fish shallow typically. I fish that staging area, that staging brush pile, and then because they're gonna hit those brush piles going in and coming out. So I'm gonna catch them on both ways, but I'm gonna allow them to go to the bank and spawn too. So that's kind of what I like to do. I like to hit them at the staging areas, if you will. LaRue, what's going on? Ashley, yes, that's the other one I was looking for. Thank you. Miller Tech or Iron, I think. Yes, they are. Miller Tech Lithium is the other one, guys. So you got Miller Tech, you got Amped, you got Monster Marine, and you got Dakota Lithium. Okay, so there's 4 right there. I would love to tell you guys don't buy anything but Amps. Obviously, Amped is a sponsor for the channel, but if they don't have them, they don't have them. You got to go somewhere and get them for your live scope. I had a guy in here just the other day I installed a live scope for, and he wanted me to run a cable or wanted me to run a wire back to his cranking battery. I did so because that's how he asked me to do it. But before he left, I told him, look, please take a jumper with you on the lake because that will kill that battery. He said, is it really going to? He said, are you serious? It's going to kill. I said, it will. I said, if you fish for 8 hours on the lake, it's going to zap that group 24 battery quick. I said, plus you're running everything else in the boat, your live wells, your pumps, your lights, your this, your that's, your units on the dash. Yeah, it's going to zap it pretty quick. And he said, all right, I'll order a lithium. So he was going to order a lithium too. But guys, it's definitely worth it without a doubt. Having that lithium battery to run your live scope unit and your black box is where it's at. I've seen way too many people broke down on the lake that live scope was the cause of their cranking battery gone dead. So, and it's a pain in the butt. I mean, you got trolling motor batteries. Let's face it, you got trolling motor batteries. You can always switch one out and crank your boat up, but it's a pain in the butt to do that. So, anyway, it's so much easier to go with that lithium battery for live scope. Okay. Let's see. Clayton, man, that's awesome again. Thank you, Clayton. I appreciate you so much, buddy. Thank you for the super chat. It's a blessing to the channel again, and I appreciate it very much. Clayton, that is what I saved on my last ACC order because of you and a simple survey. Thought I would pay it forward for all the great tips. Man, thank you. I appreciate that a ton. You have no idea. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to help you guys save a little money, just like those discount codes rolling across the bottom of the screen. I thank you. I thank you twice over. So you didn't have to do that, but I appreciate it very, very much. Thank you, sir, very much. And a simple survey. Did ACC have you do a survey? I hadn't heard about the survey. That's interesting. Chris, have you heard about a survey? Asleep? I hadn't heard about a survey. I'm sure Clayton will tell us. All right. Tony, looking for first crappie of the year tomorrow. Any suggestions? Jimmy, I know a Tony Watson. Are you him? I know Tony Watson. Are you him? Tony, if I was going to look for crappie tomorrow, I'd probably still, with the amount of water that they're pushing through our system right now, I would probably look somewhere in that 20 to 25 foot range. I would want to be in that 20 to 25 foot range, and I want to be close to the bottom. When they run a ton of water like they've been running, they push a lot of water through. You got a lot of current, and that sends crappie to the bottom. So I'd look, close to the bottom around brush, okay, or on brush. Just because you don't see them on your side imaging or down imaging doesn't mean they're not there, okay? So you're going to want to look in that brush, and don't ignore that 15 to 20 foot brush either. You want to look there as well, because there has been a lot of silt, a lot of content that has moved into the lake as well from all the runoff. And like I said earlier, when it gets dingy, those fish will actually move shallower. So I would look in that 10 to 15 foot range too. But knowing our reservoirs, knowing our river system like I do, the amount of water that they're flushing through the system is probably going to send those fish uh, a little deeper. But I hadn't been out there this last week, so I know there's been a lot of fish being caught. I think the fish were deep previous to all this rain. And when all this rain came in and the water muddied up, those fish moved shallow. And now you're starting to see those people catch a lot of fish. So you're seeing a lot of guys catching fish, and they're saying, hey, the fish are good. The fishing's good. The fishing's good. Well, the fishing was good before. You just had to go out very deep, like 30, 35 feet, as opposed to now you've got that dirtier water. Those fish have moved up back to that 15 to 20 foot brush. They moved back onto it, and people are catching fish again, because that's typically where people fish, is that 15 to 20 foot range. But that is probably the areas that I would look. I'd look at you know that deeper brush, at 20 to 25 foot brush, and then I'd move into that 15 to 20 foot. I'd work my way from deep to shallow. Big kid, that red is sharp. Yeah, it's a good looking bait. I've caught a lot of fish on it, man. I've caught a lot of fish on sliders. I've actually, I used to troll them all the time, right? So when I pulled planer boards, I'd always put sliders behind my planer boards in the spring, and I've caught a ton of fish on Charlie Brewer sliders. I love an action tail bait to troll with. Any kind of curly tail or paddle tail jig is absolutely dynamite to troll. Love it, without a shadow of a doubt. And sliders got some great colors. They really do. I mean, they've got black, blue, and chartreuse. They've got with flake. They've got chartreuse with a chartreuse tail. They've got chartreuse with red tail. They've got chartreuse with a white tail. They've got white with a chartreuse tail. I mean, they've just got all kinds of really good colors. So, you could fish a different color every day for probably 2 months before you get through all their colors. But yeah, a lot really good bait. I'd say as far as durability, they're probably a 6 out of 10, somewhere right around in there as far as durability. The front of the jig is really small. It doesn't look like it right here because I've got it shoved up on that bait, but the front of this jig is actually very small. Okay, right here, and it'll actually tear pretty easy. If you get it on a collar that's too big, it'll tear it. But other than that, I mean, it is a great bait, and I'd say, like I said, durability is probably a 6 on my scale. Stump bug, a bonehead stump bug is probably durability is a 10. Crappie magnet's probably an 8, and they're probably a 6. So, and a Bobby Garland's a 4. So there you go. There's my durability for the jigs that I use, or have frequented in the past. Bob Long, are they pillhead jigs? And is there a difference from ball heads? Does eyes make a difference? Very good question. Very good question. So that was very observant. Yes, they are a pillhead jig. Okay. So that is a pillhead. All right. It's not a round head. Do eyes make a difference? I'm not going to say yes, they make a difference. I am going to say that I feel like, it just gives the fish something to key in on. Okay. I'm not going to say it makes a difference, but I do think maybe it gives the fish something to key in on. I don't know that for sure, but I'm just thinking out loud. Okay. So with that being said, the reason that is a pill head over a round head or a ball head is because that pill head is going to split the water quicker. There's not going to be as much resistance on that head to fall. It's going to fall faster, and that's the whole reason I bought these. Is because when I cast that out, I want it to fall. I want it to fall quick. Okay. So to answer your question, there is a difference from a ball head, and it's going to be the rate of fall. And that's what I was looking for, is something that will get down there to the fish quickly. Okay. Mm. Ashley, when a lake goes from winter pool to full pool in a matter of days, like they did recently, does the same rule of thumb apply of the fish moving up with the water, or does it throw them for a loop? They're still going to follow the same. I mean, think about it like this: that's a 30-foot increase. I mean, you're talking that lake raising, and I know which lake you're talking about, like Douglas or Cherokee or um, Norris. But think about it: if that fish is sitting at 30 feet and it raises 30 feet, if that fish doesn't move, he's going to be sitting in 60 foot of water. So no, that's going to apply even when it's fast like that. Those fish are still going to move up. Yes. Jason, speaking of braid, is there any reason that you can think of that I can't use a light high vis braid the majority of the time? Jason, what do you mean by a light high vis braid? Uh, Elaborate on that question a little bit, Jason, please. I'd love to answer it, but elaborate on that. What do you mean by? Is there any reason that you can think of that I can't use a light high vis braid? Um, yeah, elaborate on that a little bit, and I'd love to answer it. Brian just got back from Sardis. Tough fishing, cold and rising water. Ended up catching them on live scope all weekend. Well, I'm glad you caught some fish. I'd say it was probably cold. I know, or it was probably tough. It's cold and a lot of water moving in down there. But hey, I'd just be happy I got to go to Sardis. I'm going to get down that way at some point. But, I haven't. I actually haven't gotten down to Sardis yet. So, but I will. I will eventually. David said, didn't take me but once for me to get lithium battery for my boat. Yeah, that's generally what I hear. I generally tell guys, hey, if you run it on a lead acid battery, it's going to get it eventually, and when it gets it, you'll decide it's time to change. It's time to go lithium. Oh, here we go, Clayton. Yeah, 10% off for the YouTuber that introduced you to ACC. Oh, that's awesome. I didn't even know they ran that. I'll have to call them and ask them how I did. Maybe they're trying to figure out how many YouTubers are getting their rods out. I didn't know they were running that, but cool. Well, there you go, guys. ACC's running a survey for what YouTuber introduced you to ACC. So hey, if you want to roll with Wired for Crappie, then thank you very much. But I guess you saved 10%. So there you go. That's pretty cool. Did not know that. I'm gonna have to call Andy tomorrow and say, "What are my scores, man? What are y'all doing to us up there at ACC?" I have to figure it out. No, I'm sure they're probably just trying to figure out same thing we all try to figure out. Where's the reach coming from? Where's the traffic coming from? Right? Ryan, I actually use my Milwaukee batteries for my live scope. Brian, do you run your lithium batteries for your head unit or for the black box and transducer, or both? Because if you run them for your head unit, Garmin recommends no more than 18 volts to your actual head unit. Now, the black box and transducer will handle 24, but uh, the unit itself, you're not supposed to put more than 18 volts on it. It can actually damage your head unit. Okay, so you might want to do a little research on that if you're using a Milwaukee battery and you're putting more than 18 volts to your head unit. How do you control the depth of your retrieve? Very, very good question. So now with live scope, we'll talk about live scope later. Okay, let's talk about without live scope. So before I fished with live scope, I fished the same way before live scope that I fish now. I fished open water, brush piles. I caught crappie in open water on brush. That was the way I fished. Okay. So what you do, or how you would fish then, you take one of these units right here and you go across a brush pile and you throw a buoy out, mark it. And then on your screen, you'd say, okay, those fish are 10 feet down. The brush goes from 15 foot up to 8 foot. They're sitting 2 foot down in the brush, so they're 10 foot down from the surface. Then you move around, you get on that brush pile, you cast across that brush pile, you count that jig down to 10 seconds, 10 Mississippis, okay? And then you start your retrieve. Very slow, steady retrieve. Generally, it's 3 cranks, count to 3. 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And what that's going to do is when you go to 10, you're going to crank 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. It's going to fall back down. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So you're going to be able to keep that jig, okay, at that 10-foot mark and bring it through that brush pile. But now with live scope, it's really changed that game. I mean, you can literally watch your jig and make sure that it stays at 10 feet. You can crank it as many times as you need to, and then let it fall as long as you need to. But for general rule of thumb, 3 steady. Now, the faster you crank, the faster that jig is going to raise in the water. Okay, but nice, slow, steady retrieve. 3 turns. Let it stop. Let it flutter let it flutter for 3 seconds. It's going to keep you right there on that same depth. Okay. Now it's going to vary depending on the jig head size. That's a 16th ounce jig. Okay. I used to fish brush relentlessly. I still do with a 16th ounce jig. I've moved to a little bit heavier jig now because you can see your bait. You can make sure it's not getting in the brush and that sort of thing. So you can fish a little heavier and a little faster. But if I wasn't fishing with live scope, I would be fishing a 16th ounce jig and brush and just, keeping that steady depth. And then there's another way you can do that as well. I mean, you can cast past that brush pile, you can count it down to 15 and then start reeling and just reel steady and let that jig, if those fish are sitting at 10 and you let it go to 15 and then start reeling, you're going to come right up through those fish. And as you pass those fish and they see that jig, they'll turn and they'll trail it and then they'll whack it. Okay. So there's a couple different ways to catch crappie out of brush with your retrieve and varying your retrieve. But general rule of thumb, 3 and 3. Okay. I don't know how deep I am retrieving a 16th or 32nd. Well, hopefully that helps. A 16th falls about a foot a second, and a 32nd, actually, a lot of guys will be like, well, it must fall 6 inches a second. It really doesn't. A 16th will fall right at a foot a second, and I would say a 32nd falls 10 inches a second. It's very close. I mean, it's not that different because you got to take into account you still got the same hook on there and you still got the same jig on there. Okay. So you're really not varying that much with a 16th or 32nd. Okay. So 32nd is going to fall slower, but about a foot a second with a 16th. And you count your Mississippis, and that's how far down you've gotten. Okay. For every Mississippi, you get another foot. Clayton said, I also wrote an email to give Mr. Andy a heads up. The last two orders, the website has been acting a little crazy and not taking the codes. One simple message and they make it good. Awesome. Well, I'm glad they made it good. What website did you order them from? Clayton said 10% off for a survey asking, how did you hear about ACC? Wired. Heck yeah, man. Awesome. That's awesome. David, first time using LiveScope yesterday. Man, do I have a lot of practicing to do, but I'm hooked. Kept scaring the fish with the trolling motor, coming up on them too quick. Got to work on my boat control a lot. Yeah, I mean, boat control is very, very important. So, David, if you're fishing in East Tennessee, you really do have to be careful with boat control. The clearer the water you're fishing in, guys, the more cognizant you have to be about boat control. And I will say this as well. The colder the water you're fishing in, the more cognizant you have to be of boat control as well. So when the water's cold, um, you have to stay off those fish. A lot more so than when it's hot or when it's warm. But boat control is very, very important with live scope. There's no doubt about it, and it just gets more important as we go. So live scope has changed crappie fishing, guys. Whether you like it, don't like it, you think it's cheating, or you don't think it's cheating, it's changed It's changed fishing. It's changed crappie fishing for sure, and it's moving its way to bass fishing. So, um, you know, everybody kind of got in an uproar with side imaging when it came out. I've said this before, and then everybody kind of calmed down from that. Now live scope's new, and they're back on that bandwagon of being mad about live scope, and that's fine. I mean, everybody has their right to their opinion. If somebody doesn't like it, they don't like it. If somebody does like it, they think it's the best thing since sliced bread. Don't get mad at them for it. Um, you know, it's personal choice and personal opinion, whether you like it or you don't. And I have my days when I don't like it. I have my days when I just want to get back here and sit in this seat right here that I'm sitting in today. I want to put my rod holders there, and I want to sit here and I want to watch those rods just like this right here, sipping on my Pepsi and eating my Debbie cakes, or my wife calls them fat cakes. But I want to sit right here and I want to do that. I want to hold that remote control right here like this. Come here. Come here, you joker. I want to sit here like this right here, and I want to hold my remote control. I want to drink my Pepsi. And I want to pull my curly tails, and I want to just watch my rods. And when they start bouncing, I might get up and get it. I might just sit here and watch it bounce because it's fun to watch them rods bounce until I see that fish start skipping on the lake back there. And I'm like, there he is. All right, we'll reel him in now. I mean, that's the beauty of crappie fishing, right? There's so many different ways to crappie fish, and none of them are wrong. Not a single one of them are wrong, guys. Every single way you crappie fish or can or will crappie fish is absolutely 100% right. Live scope ain't the only way. Trolling ain't the only way. Spider rigging ain't the only way. Pulling planer boards ain't the only way. Pulling crankbaits ain't the only way. Floating a fly ain't the only way. Floating a minnow ain't the only way. Dead sticking a minnow, floating a minnow, trolling a minnow. There's so many different ways to catch these fish. It's what makes it so great. If you don't like one way, that's fine. But you don't have to voice it every time somebody has a different way. And I'm off my soapbox. All right? But I love it too. I love live scope, but I still love this right here. This right here is simplistic to me, and it's the way I started crappie fishing. I started crappie fishing longline trolling, and I perfected it. Well, I shouldn't say I perfected it. I still have a lot to learn about trolling. But I like to imagine that I perfected it, right? Probably never have and never will, but I like to think it. So, nonetheless, that's how I started. and it's near and dear to me. I'll always do it. I love to take my kids out and do it this way because we can just cut up in the boat. My son generally gets a bunch of baits out and cuts them up, wastes all my money. But when the rod starts bouncing, it's so much fun to watch him run back there to grab it. Look at that rod. Look, 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 look. That thing's and he's trying to get it out of the rod holder. It won't come out of the rod holder, Daddy. Don't drop that rod, boy. Don't drop that rod. I mean, what? Come on. How's that not fun? All right, I'm off my soapbox now. Let's see. Matt, have you ever had a hatchet head? Is there any advantage? I have seen a hatchet head. I hadn't used a hatchet head. Is there any advantage to them? I really don't know. Maybe. I mean, it may cut water a little quicker. But as far as having any advantage above that, I don't really know that they would. Center Hill came up 26 feet in 6 days. That's a lot. I mean, that's moving. That's a lot of water. We've had a lot of water the last week and a half in Mixed Tennessee. So it's kind of why I didn't fish last weekend because, I mean, it was chocolate milk. I mean, literal chocolate milk. And I didn't feel like washing the boat. I'm lazy, guys. I'm so lazy. It's so bad. Oh, I'm sorry. But nonetheless, it is clearing up. Watch bar looks good. Loudon will stay dirty for Loudon probably won't clear out before spring ends, but no, it'll clear up. But nonetheless, I mean, or in all honesty, Watts Bar looks good. Chick doesn't look bad. Parts of Telco are pretty bad still. Loudon's a mess. Douglas and Cherokee. I know there's a lot of stuff floating because the water came up so quick. When that water shoots up like that, you get a lot of floaters, a lot of floating logs. You gotta watch out for that. But other than that, I mean, it's not too bad. Let's see. Jason, light meaning 8 to 10 pound test. So it's confusing going from mono to braid, leaders to braid, when to use fluorocarbon or not. If you had one line in your boat, your choice would be. Very, very, very good question. If I had one line in my boat, way to put a man on the spot, Jason. All right. So if I had one line in my boat, I would I'd probably stick with mono. If I had one line in my boat, if I could only fish with one line, period, I'd probably stick with mono. And the reason I say that is because dock shooting is a huge deal for us in East Tennessee. We shoot docks a lot, and you just can't get the distance with braid that you can with mono, period. I mean, you just can't. Mono comes off the spool so much cleaner. You just get more distance with it. So, unfortunately, like I said, I would probably stick with mono if I could only use one. But if I was never going to shoot a dock again and all I was going to do was fish brush or open water, okay, it would be Bonehead 12-pound orange braid. Okay, High-Vis orange 12-pound Bonehead B-Power braid. Reason is, well, there's multiple reasons, but the sensitivity is second to none. Okay, I mean, it's sensitive as all get out. If a fish breathes on that bait, you're going to feel it. Now, in today's world with live scope, you're casting the fish in clear water. You're casting the fish 40, almost 50 feet from the boat a lot of times. Because if you get too close to, if you get closer than that to them, a lot of times they'll spook and run off. But, you're looking for something that you can cast out there 40 feet in front of you and feel a crappie pick that jig up as it falls or as you're reeling it back. You need something that's got a lot of sensitivity, something that vibration travels for 40 feet from 40 feet out. Braid will do it. Okay. You can feel everything on braid. So if I was just going to open water fish or brush fish, the remainder of my career for crappie fishing, it'd be bonehead 12 pound B power braid. Um, leader for leader material, I actually throw a vicious, which I have some back there. I've got several boxes behind me, and I've got some in my bag, but it's 100% fluorocarbon vicious, clear. That is the leader that I tie. I've got a leader on here. You can see it right there in front of my face. So I actually do have a leader. Um, that is a 8 pound leader. Okay, 12 pound braid, 8 pound leader. That's what I like on Watts Bar because we've got regular 2 pounders coming out of Watts Bar Lake, 2+ pounders. So I like an 8 pound leader. Um, but if I'm fishing any other lake, I'll go with a 6 pound fluoro leader. Okay. Uh, I generally tie anywhere from 6 to 7 feet a leader, 5 to 7 feet, somewhere in there, because I want to be able to break off several times. The reason I tie a leader is not because I'm trying to hide it from the fish. Yes, it's invisible. Fluorocarbon, especially clear fluorocarbon, is invisible underwater. Okay. So there is that benefit. But the reason I tie a leader is not because it's clear. It's because I want to be able to break it before I break my braid. So that 12 pound braid, I can literally pick a brush pile up off the bottom of the lake with it. I don't want to do that. I don't want to move a brush pile if there's fish in it. So I want a leader on there that I can break off pretty easy. So I retie. And that's the reason I tie a 5 to 7 foot leader is because I want to be able to break it off a couple times. Now, sometimes my uni knot will break from my braid to my leader, but a lot of times it'll break that loop knot at the jig, and I have plenty to retie another jig on. So kind of a tip, if you will, is that leader allows me to break off in brush. Okay, so that would be what I would use if I was just going to brush fish the rest of my life. Would be braid because it's just so sensitive. You can feel so well with it, and you know, I mean, you spool a reel up with braid, and you can fish with it for months and months and months and months and months and months if you wanted to. Now I redo mine about every month, but um, you can fish with braid a whole heck of a lot longer than you can mono before you have to change it out. Okay. Mike, first person to ask me, you gonna upgrade to the LVS 34? Yes, I already have one on the way. So LVS 34, let's talk about it a little bit. Obviously, target separation is supposed to be a lot better. You're supposed to get a lot better target separation. You're supposed to get increased range. Okay. Something I want to mention because I've had a lot of people. So I had live scope installs lined up to come in the shop, boats coming in the shop for weeks. Okay. And a lot of them called me when the LVS 34 dropped, and they're like, "Hey, man, I hate to do this, but," and I'm like, "You want to wait, don't you?" And they're like, "Yeah, I really want to wait till that new transducer comes out. Then I'm going to do my live scope install." I said, "Cool, cool, awesome. I don't mind it a bit. You want to wait? You can wait." So, by the way, if anybody needs anything installed right now, I'm only a couple days out. I got 2 boats coming in, but I'm a few days out. So, if anybody needs anything installed, hit me up because I do have some openings. Okay. So, you know, I want to point this out. The problems that the LVS 32s having, the ghost tree, the dead spot, keep in mind, guys, those problems didn't exist in the videos when the LVS 32 came out, right? When the original Garmin LiveScope came out, did anybody see a ghost tree or see a blind spot on the screens that they released their videos with? No, because those were controlled situations with everything working the way it's supposed to work and a brand new transducer and on and on and on. So is the 34 going to give you everything that they're saying it's going to give you? I don't know. I would be lying to you guys if I told you it's going to. Now, what they claim it's going to do: increased range, better visibility, clearer image, increased definition, target separation, increased target separation. I mean, those are all the things that it's saying. Getting rid of the ghost tree, no more dead zone, no more dead spot. All those things are what they're claiming it's going to do. But it'll be interesting to see, does it really perform exactly that way? I would be lying to you guys if I said it will. Without a shadow of a doubt, it will. So, I've had some guys that say, "Look, guys have been using that LVS the LVS 32 for 2-3 years, and it's worked just fine for them. They caught fish just fine, and I'm like, yeah, they did, and they're going ahead and sticking with the 32. But like I said, I'd be lying to you if I told you it was going to fix all your ailments, because you'd be mad at me if I told you it was going to fix everything and then it came out and it didn't fix everything. So, again, the very first videos that they had of live scope when it came out years ago didn't have any of those ailments in it, and then they surfaced afterwards. So, it's trial and error. It's like buying a truck with the first year motor, first year transmission. You don't know. You know if it's going to be what they advertise it or if it's going to be a nightmare. So, but yes, to answer your question, I do have an LVS 34 coming. I will be running the LVS 34. I will be running 2 units up front. Okay. I'll be running the 32 on one and the 34 on the other, and I'm going to put them both through the test, and I'm just going to see what it does. Okay. So I'll have a lot to say about it when it gets here. Okay. And I will tell y'all the honest truth about both transducers, what I like, what I don't like. And is it worth the money? Not worth the money? I think for a period of time they're going to continue to sell the 32, but I think eventually the 32, just like their other units, will go away. I think they're going to get to the point where they'll phase out the 32 and the 34 will be standard, just like they do everything else, right? So it's kind of what I'm thinking. Lamar, Matt, when you use your fishing specialties pole, when you swap from port to starboard side, do you have to change your transducer? No. No, sir. The port to starboard only applies to your trolling motor. If you put your mount on the trolling motor, that's the only time port and starboard matter. If you're putting your transducer on an exterior pole, then it does not matter one single bit what side of the boat you put that pole on. Your transducer remains the same. Okay. Very good question, Davis. We just had a ton of rain in Middle Tennessee. The lakes are being pulled hard. How do you fish the lake when it's being pulled? Deep, on the bottom. Heavy current will put fish on the bottom, period. They will have their dorsal fins on the mud, and they will be sitting behind structure, using structure as a current break. So you'll find them on the down current side of structure on the bottom. Scary Barry says, Matt is showing his young age. I didn't have a remote control for my TV at his age, much less for fishing. Actually, I'm exaggerating a bit. I did for TV, but not trolling. So when I first started this game, look, I didn't have a remote either. So that was a little misleading. I had a 12-foot Alumacraft John boat with a 6-horse Evinrude and a hand-controlled trolling motor, a motor guide hand-controlled trolling motor. You remember the old box handle ones that you literally grab the whole head of the trolling motor and move it? That's what I had. So, and it had a little red on and off switch in the handle. So you reach in there in the handle and turn it on. That's what I started with. That's what I started crappie fishing with. I had those $2 rod holders, those little flimsy metal jobs, that just cheap rod holders. And I got rid of that little, they had a screw in the side of them where you mount them on your aluminum boat over the rail. I got rid of that little screw thing, that little C-clamp with the screw in it. I just screwed them with screws through the top of my aluminum rail. And that's how I trolled. I had 2 on one side and I had 2 on the other side. And I'd have my buddy sitting in the front of a 12-foot John boat with 2 rods out that way, me in the back of a 12-foot John boat with 2 rods out that way. That's how we started crappie fishing. And not a transducer one, not a fish finder, not a nothing on that joker. And you know how we knew how deep we were running? Just like I told you guys, we'd put our rods out, we'd turn that joker 90 degrees and head for the bank. And when the rods started going, we knew we were dragging bottom, and we'd look at a map. Okay, we got a lake map, and we'd follow that joker right up a point. And when they started bouncing like this, we'd look at that lake map and say, we're about right here. And we'd say, we're about 10 feet. We're about 10 feet. All right, turn around. We'd turn around and boom, out we'd go. That's how we did it back then, man. And we'd catch fish. We'd catch fish. I mean, we'd catch limits of fish. So I've done it. I've done it. I loved it. Some of my best times were sitting on that 6-horse, sitting on the motor on the back of that 12-foot John boat, watching them poles. Okay, sitting literally on top of the motor. Actually, I think I've got a picture. Now that you mention it, as I talk, I'll find this picture. I have a picture of me sitting on that motor with a crappie in my hand, and I think it's on my Facebook page. I think. Let's see if we can find it. I think that'd be interesting. I think that'd be interesting. So anyway, yeah, shoot. I loved that 12-foot John boat. And I actually loved it so much when I bought the next boat I bought was a tracker with a 50-horse Merc on it. And I loved that boat so much that I couldn't bear to sell it. So I gave it to my friend at the time, used to be my fishing partner. I gave that boat to him because he didn't have a boat and he had a son that wanted to fish. And I actually gave it to him and said, I can't bear to see myself sell it, so I want you to have it. And anyway, oh, the good old days. Let's see. Where's it at? Well, there's my buddy sitting in there. Look, there's my buddy sitting in that 12-foot John boat with a big old crappie. 12-foot aluminum John boat. That's the way we did it back then. And oh, here I am. Here it is. Here it is. Sitting on that 6-horse motor. Look at that. With my Marine Corps pants on. Look at me go. Hey, sitting on that 6-horse motor right there. There's those cheap rod holders I was telling y'all about. You see that cheap rod holder under my leg right there? Hey, that's how we used to do it, man. But I didn't care. It was fun. The good old days. Long line trolling. It's all we could do. It's all we knew how to do. Oh, the good days. All right. Scott Pace, can't wait to see everyone. April 9th at Watts Bar. Yeah, April 9th, ACC Crappie Sticks, Crappie Cove, Big Fish Tournament. It's going to be great. It is going to be awesome, as a matter of fact. So one fish can win you up to $3,750 with one fish. If it's the biggest fish for the tournament, it's $2,500 for the biggest fish for the 8-hour day. And then every hour, if you're fishing with an ACC crappie stick like this one right here, you win $1,250 per hour for the biggest fish every hour. So it's going to be a very, very, very good tournament. Very, very fun. It's $150 entry fee per boat, 2 anglers per boat. Any kids under the age of 16 can fish with their dads in the boat, but you have to be under the age of 16. It's going to be a blast. Okay. It's going to be a blast. So that's April 9th. If you want to register for that, you can register for that at crappiecove.com, or you can call Crappie Cove. You can get their number off their website, crappiecove.com, and you can give them a call and register that way. Okay. Larry Black, same here, longline trolling. It was what was best at my home lake. Used to catch limit in just a couple hours. Our lake was good for trolling because there is no trees in it at all. Yeah, those open water impoundments, those reservoirs with no structure in them. It's it's the best way to fish. You don't have anything to hold to hold fish. Scary Barry, Jason Fowler, great question. Fighting the mono to braid debate myself. So, guys, to be a well-rounded angler, I mean, and I troll mono. I don't troll braid. I troll mono too. So all my rods for trolling have mono on them. I want that stretch when I'm trolling. I want that line to stretch. I don't want it to be, straight to the fish. But um, there's not one good answer for line. I mean, you really, to be a well-rounded angler, you really should fish with both or have both at your available uh, while you're on the water, so that if you want to fish different ways while you're on the water, you can. Austin Cope, any update on the rod you couldn't show? It wasn't a rod. Okay, it was what was on the rod that I couldn't show you. Okay, so first and foremost, to answer everybody's question, because I've had this question come up a couple times since that live. No, I'm not doing my own rod. No, there's not going to be any grand poobahs, and I'm not going to come out and say, "Look, guys, I got my own rod." No, we're not doing that. I believe in the ACC crappie stick. That's why I use it, because I've literally caught so many big fish on these rods, so many fish on these rods. They perform for me every day. This is not a commercial. I'm just telling you why I use them. They perform every day. They're dependable. They're great priced. I don't need to come out with a rod. This is it. This is what I use. This is the rod I like. So I don't need. There's nothing I would change about these rods. The 6.5 and the 6 are they're me. They fit me. So I don't need to change them. But it was what was on that rod that I couldn't show you guys. Okay. So to answer your question, no, I can't tell you what it is. I haven't experimented with it enough yet to say anything or release anything yet. I really hadn't got on the right situation with it. It's coming. I think this spring, shortly, probably in the next month and a half, is when it's gonna be the real deal. Okay, for what I'm trying to do and accomplish, but we'll see. We're gonna put it through the paces, and we're going to um, hopefully have something new and innovative and pretty cool for you guys to look at. So we'll see. I still got it back there. I'm looking at it right now as we talk about it. It's sitting right back here, but we'll see. Jason, that totally answers my question. Thank you. You're welcome. Heidi, what's going on? Better late than never. How is Laura and the boys? Laura and the boys are doing well. Thank you, Heidi. I appreciate you for asking every week. I look forward to Heidi asking about the Wired fam. I appreciate it, Heidi. They're doing well. I told you guys I would have Little Wired on here next time he's awake, and I will, but he's not awake. He's asleep. So he got real cranky earlier, and Mama said, "All right, time for you to lay down, boy." So he's not awake. But I promise you guys, next time he's awake and I do live, we'll get him on here. I promise. I just don't want to wake him up and bring him down here, because then Mama has to put him back to sleep, and then I have to deal with Mama. So we're not going to wake him up and bring him down, but next time he's awake, we will. All right, when calibrating live scope and it's on a separate pole, does it need to be pointed in the same direction as the circle the boat is going, or does it matter which way it's pointing? All right, very good question. So calibrating live scope. Do I calibrate live scope? Nope. Nope, I don't. There's going to be people on here that say, "Wait a minute, the R's and this and that but what about the R's? What about that?" No, I don't calibrate my live scopes. I don't calibrate any live scopes I install, and never had an issue. Never had an issue at all. Okay, so I'm not a calibrator, so that's I can't answer your question as to pointing the live scope to calibrate it. I just know that I don't. Okay, so I don't. My opinion, it's not necessary. There have been people that have told me different, and I understand that. But I've been fishing with live scope. Now you guys have seen my live scope. My live scope's clear. My live scope works fine. It's not calibrated. Some people like to calibrate it just so they, I guess, can look at the screen and know which way it's pointing. I look at my pole and I know which way it's pointing because the handle points in the direction the live scope's pointing. 73 Montgomery Ward V bottom John boat for me. Transom motor, tiller, Johnson, and transom troller for me. That's what I had. on the other side of where I was setting. Okay, because my rods were over here. On this side of the motor was my trolling motor. So I'm sitting on the motor, running the trolling motor, and I got my rods right here. So there you go. That's the way I was set up for sure. Uh, Hello from Michigan. David, when casting to fish, how far out should you be able to see still see your jig on live scope? So I'll cast the fish at 50 feet and I can still see my jig. Um, I typically cast to fish. So in our last tournament, we open water fished. My partner was actually trying to get in there to 30 feet, and I'm like, "Stop! I don't want to. I don't want them at 30 feet. I want them at 40. They're running off at 30. Quit getting so close. Stop! Stop! I'm casting way out there to 40 feet, and I'm watching my jig fall. And I was casting 5 feet, 5 to 10 feet past the fish, so that when that jig falls, is another tip. You don't want to throw right on top of that fish because if that fish is shallow, like 6 feet or shallower, when that jig hits the water, a lot of times it'll spook the fish. So you always want to try to cast past the fish and then let that jig fall and reel back right across the top of his head. Okay. So another little tip for you guys, but 50 feet is, I can still see a jig at 50 feet. All right, guys, looks like we got to the end of our comments. So again, don't forget 10,000 subscriber giveaway. Don't forget when you put your fishing pictures, all your crappie pictures, your fishing, just anything fishing related. I want to see your guys' pictures. I want to see the fish you're catching. Tag Wired for Crappie in your posts. Okay, I'm going to pick out one photo every month. You're going to win a big prize. It's going to be a package. It's not just going to be one pack of baits. It's going to be a package of stuff. Every month, I'm going to send that out to you. I'll take that picture and I'll post it on Wired for Crappie. Tell everybody you're the winner. Let everybody see your catch. Don't forget Instagram, Facebook, tag Wired for Crappie. You got to put the little @ symbol, Wired for Crappie. Click on it. Make sure it's blue before you hit post. If Wired for Crappie is not in blue, you didn't get me tagged. The only way I'll see your posts, guys, is if you tag me in it. Okay. You got to tag Wired for Crappie. It sends me a notification, says so-and-so tag Wired for Crappie. I can click on it. I can look at it, and I say, man, that's a nice fish. Look at that. Or, man, that's a mess. Or, man, that's awesome. And I can pick that greatest or that favorite picture for the winner every month. So make sure you guys get that. Tag Wired for Crappie and everything so that I get it. And I appreciate you guys very much. As always, God bless. I hope you guys have a great week. We'll be here next week, same time, same place. Watch out for the video dropping Monday. And as always, I thank you guys for everything y'all do for the channel. Okay. We will see you guys later. Have a good night. Have a good week. We'll see you next week.